All right.
You can't talk.
But anyway, that's what I've been thinking about.
Oh yeah, totally.
You guys should just stare at each other.
But I've never recorded to anything other than internal. I started with a Mark II, so.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I haven't used that too much myself, but it is. I mean, there's a big benefit, especially if you're shooting like a flat profile, like S-Log2 or something like that, to have that 10-bit instead of 8-bit or sometimes 14-bit, depending on which recorder you have.
Right.
To be able to stretch the color when you're like color grading and stuff like that. So that's a big limitation I found with like the Sony A7S2 and stuff. Like I love those cameras, but sometimes like shooting on flat profiles, like I sometimes don't do that because
Drew, are you at DrewMason.com?
DrewMasonVideo.com is the one that's actually you should say, yeah, DrewMasonVideo.com.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do video a ton, but I love doing it, and I want to do it more. I've been playing around in After Effects lately and just trying to teach myself that. There's so much crossover between like what I do in Photoshop and like After Effects that I feel like I should just learn it, you know? So.
Yeah. I guess like the only real difference, because you have like the layers and like the same idea about like you see transparencies through the different layers as you go down. But we're gonna give it a start.
What's up, everybody?
Hi.
Welcome to episode 9 of On Your Guard. I am sitting here with filmmaker Drew Mason, who is awesome in all things video.
Well, thanks.
And we're going to be talking a lot about video and just cool stuff today. Drew, why don't you give us a little bit of a background on yourself?
Sure. I guess I got into filmmaking because I think a lot of people are like this. They get into filmmaking because they want to document fun things that they're doing or like things that they're into. So I was really into backpacking and hiking, especially throughout Michigan. And so I made videos about my trips with my friends, and we would go on trips every summer, and every year I'd try harder to get better videos. I'd get better cameras and everything, but those were all like point and shoots. And so the game changer was when I got a Canon 60D. That was like my first nice camera, and both photo and video. I was into both of them at the time, but that was right before I went on a trip to the Tetons in Wyoming.
Oh.
And so that
Trying to go there in September.
Oh, it's such a cool place. I'd love to go back, but I got like the camera like days before I went there, so like a lot of my experience in the Tetons was like figuring out how to use this camera and everything, and so yeah, that was just a game-changing trip, and I made a video to kind of like document that, and a friend of a friend saw that and asked if I would produce a local TV show about Michigan State and Michigan sports, and I'm not a huge sports fan, but I jumped at the opportunity to like, that was my first paid video gig, and
Nice.
that led to a lot of connections and a couple different jobs and a lot of freelancing, and so yeah, here I am today.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great, man. So you saw a little bit of Drew's reel at the intro there, which was awesome. You're so versatile as a video guy. I feel like you just do, I mean, in that reel, I think it's interesting. I've never put a reel together.
Okay.
I kind of dabble in video. We talked a little bit about it, but I don't think I have enough footage to put together like a full-on reel. So like what goes into a reel?
That's a really good question, and it's interesting, like comparing like photo to video, especially like it's just a collection of like your coolest stuff basically, and for me like a reel is like a love-hate relationship sort of, because it's like the most awesome looking shots that I can like cram into 2 minutes basically, and but there's no like story to it, and so much of filmmaking is storytelling, and so there's just none of that. But that's like
Touching on that later.
yeah, but yeah, it's just I tried to show a variety of the kind of clients I've worked with and the kind of projects I've put together and the locations I've filmed in, and also I'd say like a lot of that is sort of GoPro heavy and doesn't really represent like all of what I do, but at least for this kind of thing, like GoPro is like really good at like showing action and like putting the camera in crazy places, underwater and all that stuff. So yeah,
I guess it kind of relates. I mean, in the photo world, I have people all the time asking me like, should I put this? I did this and it's really cool, but should I put it in my portfolio? I'm like, for me, when it comes to photo stuff, I only put stuff in my portfolio if I want that kind of work in the future. I don't.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. So I mean, even if something is super cool and I love this, if I don't want to do that anymore, there's no sense in me putting it in my portfolio to showing it off. So I'm kind of thinking a reel is the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, and this one in particular was, for me, it was part of my application to the job that I have now with the MEDC and making videos for Pure Michigan. And so I wanted to show like a little bit more like, I guess the adventure side of like the outdoors and everything, which so many people associate with Pure Michigan.
Sure.
Yeah, with including stuff that you want to work on in the future, yeah, that's totally, I guess you can make a demo reel for yourself. You can make a demo reel for like potential clients in the future.
Yeah.
So
you can have multiple demo reels. You don't have to have one in particular. Cool.
Yeah. A lot of what I do is for freelance has been weddings lately, and there are like 3 shots of weddings in there, and everything else is other stuff. So it's not really a fair representation, but it.
But I'm sure you have a wedding when you were actively pursuing wedding clients, you had something that you're like,
oh, totally.
This is wedding work.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Definitely.
It's good to know.
So well, also like. I guess when you think about photos, like if you had like an Instagram account, is in a sort of a way like the same thing as like a demo reel where like you have all the cool shots in like one spot. Like a lot of people talk about their top 9, you know, in their Instagram accounts like that. To me, I guess it's sort of like could be similar kind of thing.
Yeah. No, I get that. That makes total sense. So we know you're a video guy.
Yeah.
How much do you do photo too? Like I know a lot of people that kind of do both. How does that work for you?
Yeah, photos for me, I don't advertise myself as like a professional photographer just because like I want to keep photography as like a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
I take photos for fun, and that's kind of like my step away from video sometimes because photos, in a way, like it's just like one photo instead of like several shots, and like one video is a lot different than one photo. So yeah, usually the only place my photos go is like on Instagram. Cool. Pretty much, but I do a lot of photos for work too. But yeah,
awesome.
Mostly photos are just for fun.
Pause right there. Today we are actually giving away 2 of these brand new Video Discover 46 bags. We'll talk more about what the bag is towards the end of the show, but it is a really cool bag. Can be both a backpack and a sling bag. Holds a tripod. It's just a really cool. Not small, but I mean, it's not a huge bag, but it's really good for, you know, backpacking, travel, and everything. So stay tuned. Drop us a comment, a question, something. You'll be automatically entered to win, and we're going to run things the same way we have been doing the past couple episodes, where we'll let the video run over the weekend and pick another winner at the end of the weekend. So just comment or, ask us a question, and you're automatically entered to win. All right. So you talked about you were a freelancer for a long time.
Yep.
So let's get into how you self-promote yourself as a freelancer. Like, how are you getting business? I know you've kind of you're transitioning away from it now, which we can kind of get into as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The main thing basically was making really good connections with people who were both in the industry and just
networking.
Networking basically is really the best thing you can do. I tried things like promoting myself on wedding listing sites and stuff, and those never really worked out for me.
Yeah.
I think part of that with video, especially in the wedding world, as far as like price goes, like videographers tend to be pretty expensive, and so a lot of people don't really know what to expect until they start planning their wedding, and then they're like, "Whoa, videographers are expensive." Yeah. So I think that was part of the reason the wedding listing sites didn't work so much. But I did a lot of work with Google SEO. I did a lot of work making my website as like streamlined as possible, and just made the best work that I could and making great connections.
Right.
So
I know for me as a wedding photographer, like it was basically all of my. I mean, we didn't advertise. Like we thought about doing like the nod or whatever those things, but it's so expensive, and we never wanted to be like full-time wedding photographers.
Okay. Yeah.
So it didn't make sense to put that much money into something like that, and we got so much business drummed up just by word of mouth. Like, so it really becomes more about treating your clients as best as possible, because they know however many people that they're going to tell and share, and then those people know people, and that's really the best form of advertising you can get.
Definitely, especially when you're like filming a wedding and one of the bridesmaids is like, you know, engaged or something like that. She gets to like work with you on that day, and then but word of mouth is probably the most powerful.
For sure. So you mentioned now you're working for brands like Pure Michigan. I know there's a whole lot more that goes into that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and what you're doing now?
Sure, yeah. It is, it can be kind of complicated sometimes because there are so many things that we do at the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. So I'm one of 2 in-house video producers there, and that is, so we make videos for michiganbusiness.org and also michigan.org, and a lot of other brands that are associated with that. So it's a lot of traveling around Michigan. Michigan's a pretty big state. I guess I didn't think about that much until, yeah, it's just, there are a lot of places in Michigan that I'd never been before, but it's a lot of fun. So.
Oh, we have a question.
Yeah, a question from Dave. Regarding your video and photo work, do you find that because you shoot primarily video, that your still photos end up looking very similar to the framing and the composition of your video work, or does your photo work have a different feel or look because it's not your primary focus?
That's a great question.
It is a great question. Yeah, I am sort of like attracted to that like film type look that although it might like be really contrasty and pop and everything, it also I really like the sort of like the more neutral flat profile kind of thing. But I've never really like tried to think of like limit myself, I guess, as far as like making a photo look like video. But I guess naturally I kind of like gravitate toward that kind of look.
You have like video composition brain, almost.
Yeah, I sort of do. Or like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I guess I could say. A lot of ways I think they're really similar. But I mean, in photos you do portrait mode a lot, and lately I've been making videos that I upload directly to Instagram stories, like in Adobe Premiere, and I make the composition the size of like an iPhone screen, and so I'm working with that a lot too.
That's interesting.
And when I film it, I don't turn the camera on the side. I just film it really wide and know that I'm going to crop in the sides a lot, but yeah.
Question from Ryan. Do you think it's a good idea to shoot your aperture wide open all the time?
No, I don't think so, Ryan. I think it's... When video was making a big transition from like people using camcorders or like professional camcorders and everything to DSLR cameras doing video, a big difference was having that large sensor and also the lenses that would allow you to have that like big depth of field and everything. So I think I myself fall victim of this sometime, and I know Ryan and I know that he knows that. But yeah. You have to use it within reason, I guess.
I read an interesting article. I don't even know what I was I was looking something up the other day, and I read this interesting... It was an article talking about video and talking about almost going back like since the beginning of film and talking about like people were talking about using wide open apertures, and it's like, look at film and there's not a whole lot of that.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing depth and you're seeing like things, framing played with and everything. So.
Definitely. There's a lot more that you could work with to make a cinematic look. It's not just depth of field.
Right, definitely.
And just a general comment or compliment for the Pure Michigan stuff. That stuff looks beautiful.
Sweet.
Thank you, Katie.
Thanks.
Yeah, he kills it for sure. It must be fun, like just getting to travel. I mean, I'm sure anytime, like even our boss here, shout out to Josh. He travels all the time, and so we were at lunch the other day, and it was like, I asked these guys, I'm like, where do you guys want to go? And I'm like, he's like, I just want to stay home. Like, you get to a certain point with travel that you're just like, nah, I don't want to do it anymore.
Right, yeah. Well, that hasn't worn off on me yet. I'm still really enjoying it. But it's, it can be, being a road warrior is tough.
Sort of, thinking locally though, what is your favorite place in Michigan to shoot? Katie Pollock wants to know.
Oh man, I can't pick a favorite. I would have to say the UP is my favorite, just in general. Really?
Yeah.
What?
I know.
We should go.
I'm down.
Okay.
Let's do it. Let's go after this.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, so let's talk about storytelling. You mentioned storytelling. How important is storytelling to video, and how do you do it?
I think storytelling is arguably the most important thing about video because, especially these days, like everyone is making videos all over the place. There are more videos out on Facebook and like everywhere that like you can't scroll through your Facebook feed without seeing a video of some sort. And advertisements and videos are like you can watch a video and basically be tricked almost that it's an advertisement, even though it looks like it's some sort of like authentic like story about someone. And that is like a testament to how good storytelling can be, can weave products into videos. And so I think storytelling is basically the way that you can make good, I guess content marketing is the term, but sell some sort of product or some sort of service or something like that. And if you have good storytelling, you can even mask it as being just a good story about someone. But yeah, I think there's like a thirst, I think, for people these days, especially in social media platforms, to have and see like authentic videos and authentic stories.
Is that something that like you've kind of always known how to do? Or is it something that you've kind of learned over... Can you learn how to tell a story?
Well, I guess... It's always changing, and I'm always learning.
Sure,
I am in no way like reached like some sort of like, or at least I don't think of myself as having like made it all the way yet, because I'm always learning and always will, I hope. And so, yeah, storytelling it's always changing, and the expectations of viewers are always changing as well. So, yeah, a lot of the times it's like I'll see a video that I think is really, really awesome, and it tells a really strong story, and I'll try to like copy that a little bit, which I think everyone should try to do that sometimes, and it's a great way to learn. But it's always trying to improve, and definitely by no means have I just like known it all this time. It's a big learning curve. So
a few questions actually about what you use for video editing.
Sure.
Software.
Adobe Premiere, Creative Cloud is like the main one. I actually have made this really big transition from like, for my freelance stuff, I'm totally team PC, and I used Sony Vegas, and I still use it sometimes, and I really love that program, and nobody else uses it, so like, it's kind of tough to like, I can't, it makes it hard to collaborate because I can't like share projects and stuff, but it is just fast, and Premiere I think is a little bit cumbersome, and but that's what everyone uses, so that's what I use. I don't use Final Cut, but yeah.
I transitioned from Final Cut 7, and then when X came out, I was like, yeah, I'm jumping ship
You're
to
out,
Premiere.
yeah.
So. But our video guy, Jacob, who just got married, yeah, he still uses his Final Cut Pro X sometimes, right? There are things that you like about it?
I guess there's a couple things here. So like, with Premiere, I feel like there's a lot more like, you can get your hands into it, you can like, there's a lot of parameters. All your parameters are right there, full control. Whereas with X, I think they're trying to be a little more user-friendly, so you can use it really quickly. Like I remember I was in a class and I was trying to push out this video really quick, and I think the meta logging aspect of it is very quick. So when you pull in your footage, you can quickly highlight all your usable stuff, and there will be a folder automatically made of your usable stuff that you highlighted. All your stuff is still preserved, but
makes sense.
It's for very quick editing, not necessarily very like personal or
that makes sense.
So that's the downside to it. But I'd say the upside is that it's very fast.
I will say that with Premiere transitioning from Vegas, like kind of going off at that point, is using Prelude and being able to catalog video clips. I never really did that before. It was always like based on like a project. So I'd have like, the clips of a project, and I just knew they were there. But going from like freelance to working with a team, like we need to share the footage, and we need to be able to, like, if someone says, do you have footage of the tulips in Holland? So like, and then there you go.
That makes sense. Yeah, I need to get better at that. Even with photo stuff, I need to get better at that because I never do that kind of stuff, and it's such a pain in my butt.
It takes so long, but like,
that is a thing you can tag. Things so that you can have keywords for.
Apple's all about tagging, man. They love their tags, and I never use it. So, okay, so we've kind of shifted a little bit. Let's talk about like production.
Sure.
Do you have any like fun, cool production stories, whether it's freelancing to what you're doing now?
I think, at least for me, like my history has been, like I didn't go to school for film or for video or anything.
Shame.
I actually was in school to be an elementary ed teacher. And
Nice.
It wasn't until I graduated that I realized it was something I didn't want to do. And so that was like, I've always just taught myself, self-taught every way. And so I haven't really been part of like big productions. It's a lot of it has been like getting the best look that people might think is like, from a big production, but it's just me or just me and one other person. And we're, so it's always being nimble is kind of the goal that we try to do. And, yeah, I guess in production, I guess I can ask you the question, or what was the question again?
Oh yeah, sorry. No, you're fine. Just like stories. Like, so let's start, just tell us about the cool camera housing that you guys just built for, a year-long time lapse. Like, that's awesome to me.
Yeah, so we
show the picture of that, Jake.
Okay, yeah, so we had, there's a long-term construction site that we are sort of documenting over the course of like the next 9 months, I think, is going to be this big track to test autonomous vehicles. And so as they build it, it's basically just an empty parking lot with a bunch of weeds growing up and everything, and it looks totally abandoned right now, but in 9 months it's going to look awesome. So we want to have a time lapse showing like basically the from the start to finish, and we basically don't want to go there every day to take a picture or something like that. So what we built was took a Pelican case and put a Canon T6 inside of it. I think it was maybe a T5, but then with a 10mm lens, and then we just had this wide shot with an intervalometer inside, and we used a battery, like a dummy battery with a cord to an AC adapter, so we can plug it into the wall. The intervalometer has batteries, but that lasts forever.
And you sealed the hole that you cut the lens. So the lens is coming out.
Yeah, the lens is.
Do you have the
out.
picture up?
Yeah, it's really small. Though.
Okay.
We'll post the link.
We'll post the link in
Sure.
there. But yeah, it's just I saw that and I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty fun, and it is sealed, but it's out on top of a roof, and it was like 90 degrees last week, and I'm like, I wonder if that camera's melted. I don't really know. So every time it rains, I'm thinking about that camera sometimes, but it's in.
And you're getting you posted how much? So how often are you shooting shots?
Right now it's 1 hour. It's every hour, and we go and visit it about once a month, and
awesome.
So I think in the end to show that's too many pictures that we need to take to make a time lapse of the overall 9 months. But I think at noon or something, noon every day for a month would give us a good amount of pictures.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's a bird on the lens, and so that way we have more options, and it's not like you miss a day. So yeah, right now it still seems to be doing well, but we've only had it for about a month and a half going. So
that's so cool.
We were talking about production, and Casey actually has a good question, which is the ultimate production snafu, I guess you'd say. Any tips for self-filming video where you're the cameraman and you're in front of the camera and you're the editor and producer?
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of wearing a lot of hats. I mean, in video, I feel like that's definitely something that videographers find themselves doing, is just wearing all the hats. And so if you are both the talent and the filmmaker, then I guess the first thing that comes to mind is make sure you have a camera that has a flip-out screen so you can see yourself while you're doing it. But I mean, any tips for that? I would say it sounds like you would just be able to critique yourself in every single facet of that, I guess. So watching yourself on camera, you can critique yourself and learn how to get better that way. But I guess I wonder if the question is more about the gear and stuff, or if it's
It
so
might
much
be.
so.
I don't know. Is it more about gear? Definitely the flip-out screen. I've tried. I know I had to shoot just a quick intro video of myself for something, and I love colors and lighting and stuff like that, and I have a pretty extensive history in lighting, strobe lighting for camera stuff. So when I'm sitting there, I'm like, I want to record a video of me. I want to have cool lighting and cool color and everything. So that's my first thing. But then I'm like, well, now what am I supposed to I have to get up and make sure I'm in focus.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then there's no way. So the flip out screen thing, that's a fantastic point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're doing if you have a studio space or someplace that you can consistently do if it's vlogging or something like that, then at least maybe that would be something where you wouldn't have to change it every time. But yeah. Oh, also I guess one thing that I always forget to use these, and it's the biggest help is having some sort of diff on the lights, basically. So a diffuser that is and those pop-out things. I carry one of those in my trunk all the time. A lot of people think they're for photos, but I will use that when I'm outdoors, and I'm if there's harsh shadows, then I'll just hold it over their head or something like that. And even if I'm going like this to try to get the shot, then that totally helps too. But
no, that's good.
So
let's talk a little bit about gear. What gear are you using? I know. Personally, you use your Sony cameras.
Yep.
But talk about what you use for your biggest productions, and then versus what you're using now.
Sure. I'll start with what I carry on me every day.
Yeah.
I have a Sony A6300.
Okay.
And I love that camera is teeny tiny, and even when you're going to events where they're no cameras, no professionals, and I'm haha, I can still sneak in with that thing.
Of course. Yeah.
And then I have the A7S and A7S II, so those are the main cameras that I work with for weddings and stuff. And then for Pure Michigan, we use a Sony FS5. We have a Sony FS700 as well, but the FS5 is it's great. I mean, you're doing 240 frames per second at 1080p is super cool.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
That definitely helps. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But I'm looking at the Sony A9 is coming out, and we're thinking about getting that too because we're taking photos as well. So that camera would be awesome for both video and photo. Whereas the Sony A7S II is not a very good photo camera.
Yeah, right.
I think it's only 12 megapixels or something like that. Yeah. So.
But it's great in low light.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Nothing else compares.
Do you always shoot in 4K?
I usually don't shoot in 4K, actually. When you shoot in 4K, it's not just like getting like super high resolution or like, I guess if I wanted to make a 4K video, I would know that the video in the end was going to be 4K. If I'm doing 4K for like a 1080p video, I've done it a few times where, you know, it allows you to like punch in, or if I'm doing like, I guess, like a video blog thing, if I recorded that in 4K with one camera, I could then like cheat and crop in to make it look like I have like 2 zoom ranges. But there's just the amount of editing afterwards and the file sizes and stuff like that is the reason I usually don't shoot in 4K.
That makes sense.
Especially since like I'm not sold on 4K yet, and maybe I sound old-fashioned for that, but like there are some cool 4K TVs, and like if I'm watching like Planet Earth, like that's such a cool experience to see that in 4K. But like so much of the media that like the end product is going to be on Facebook or Instagram, or like sometimes even like it's just.
Well, you think about it too, the amount of, I feel like most content is digested on mobile nowadays, and how many, I mean, the iPhone doesn't have a 4K screen.
Yeah,
like
you're right.
It's 1080, so.
Yeah.
At least until they come out with a new one, but.
Or even if you were able to watch 4K, like would the human eye be able to tell the difference, like even on like an iPhone 7, like it's.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not like
really
a
sure.
mathematician, but I don't. So you just, yeah, no, I am. You talked. All these cameras you're using are mirrorless. So like, let's talk a bit about this mirrorless thing.
Sure. Yeah. So I guess my transition to mirrorless was going from Canon to Sony. I feel like a lot of people did that.
A lot of people did that. Yeah. Sorry, Canon.
Sorry, Canon. If I was doing photography, I probably wouldn't have switched, to be honest. But because I was focused more on video, the better dynamic range and the higher frame rates and the Canon probably has the same things, but like at different prices. So like you know, I could afford the Sony cameras and get like images that that I just couldn't get with Canon. So I don't know if it's because it's mirrorless that it was able to do all that kind of stuff, but I certainly do enjoy that. Like with my Sonys, I have like a little eye cup thing that I can like smash to my face when I'm in the sun, and I can see. I know Canon, they have like little attachments to the screen, so you can look at them too, but like it's not the same. Like being able to look on the viewfinder is just a game changer too.
I feel like for me, switching from like a traditional through the lens, looking, you know, through a mirror, through the lens, going to an electronic viewfinder was like, I couldn't go back. Like there was seeing like the final product there, and I bracket a lot, and seeing like the 3 previews of my shots really quick without having to take my eye away from the camera, like that's huge for me.
Definitely.
So, and then just being able to, I mean, we talked a little bit about like trying to travel light, but I always end up taking like everything I own with me at all times.
That's a problem that everyone has, I think.
Yeah. But the thing is, like taking everything I own with a DSLR kit versus taking everything I own with a mirrorless kit is
still
night and day.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially with the Pure Michigan stuff, like there was a time like we were filming the Michigan Ice Fest in the UP, the ice climbing festival, and we're hauling in like way too much gear, and we're going like through these trails in the snow, and I'm just like, this sucks. Like we really need to like lighten up the stuff that we bring, and so staying nimble. I mean, we're not always filming that kind of stuff, so like that's maybe an outlier, I guess, but yeah, staying nimble and staying lightweight, that has been a big game changer for mirrorless as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what's the most fun thing you've done while working this new job?
Good question.
Or at least the most fun you've had. Maybe not even the most fun, like, glamorous thing. There's got to be something.
Yeah. Gosh, a couple things come to mind. One thing that, I guess I'll say this because it was Facebook Live. With Pure Michigan, we're doing Facebook Live stuff too. And we use a Blackmagic converter so that we can take our FS5 or whatever camera, like you have an A7S2 over there? Yeah. So like
A7R2.
R2. Like we can do live videos from those cameras and then put it into a laptop. And one thing we did was in Marquette on Lake Superior on the shores, we did a Pure Michigan sunrise over the lighthouse there. And so we did a Facebook Live thing, and we were up there and we waited 4 nights to get the perfect sunrise.
This is the one you had to bump. I remember this.
Yeah,
you posted the photo, and it's insane.
We bumped it for 4 days, and then on that 4th day, it was like a good chance that it was going to be, and it was our last day. It was our last chance, basically, to get it. And so we're like, let's try it. And so we started the live video, and then like 2 minutes later, it was like the most beautiful red sunrise ever.
Yeah,
and awesome. That was really cool. And it was awesome, like being there and getting that shot was like, this is a really good shot. But then also like a lot of people loved it, and you could see the comments coming in and everything, and it was a good it's just a testament to how much Michigan pride Michiganders have and everything. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
No, that's really cool. I like that.
Dave Swiduk.
Swidek. Get it right, Jacob.
Okay. Let you do the pronouncing. Besides camera and lens combos, what would you say are those must-have gadgets in your bag that let you do what you do?
Oh, so I'm actually in the middle of writing like a blog post about this to have like my top 5 like goofy
Nice.
gadgets.
So
and stuff.
tease it, and then everybody check out his blog post.
Yeah. So one of them, I'll say 2 of them that come to mind first. Well, I know the others, but the I bought a cigarette lighter AC/DC converter that gives you 2 plugs, and so I can charge my laptop, charge batteries,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
in my
Yep.
car all the time, and it charges them like way fast, like fastest if I would put it on a wall plug in a
Right.
house or something like that. But so that one is that's been very, very helpful. But then also having those like eye cup things to put on my A7S, like if I'm shooting in the sun, trying to light
Yeah,
the screen
yeah.
and everything, it just doesn't work. So
Right.
the eyepiece has been like definitely a must-have gadget. And then also variable
ND
filters. Yeah.
Yep.
Like so that you can like keep that wide open aperture.
Yeah, there you go.
Ryan,
Shoot
because,
wide open with a variable
then
ND filter.
Because I can, and then you don't have to compromise on shutter speed either, and then
Yep.
you can get a perfectly exposed shot.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I guess let's talk about this bag a little bit. So this is part of the VO collection. Like I said, it's the VO Discover 46. A lot of pockets. You have top storage. You have a tripod holder that comes out here. You have side access. And what's really cool, well, you have two-part side access on each side, but then you also have full rear access to the interior of the bag. So, pretty sweet bag. You can win one. It holds, looks like a small laptop or a tablet. Oh, the other big, really cool feature about this is that the 2 straps actually zip together. So it can be like you have to reconfigure the straps a little bit, but it can actually be a sling bag as well, or a backpack, and it's cool. The side access is so you can swing it around and get into it real quick. So we're giving away 2 of these. Anybody who has commented is entered to win. We'll announce somebody.
Yeah,
right-
actually, we
have our
a
first.
live
We
winner.
have our live winner.
Yeah, live winner. And hang on, I lost it.
We had a live winner.
1 second. Oh boy.
I'm looking at the comments on Facebook.
We have dead air now. This is-
Alicia Bearfield.
Oh, Alicia or Felicia?
Alicia.
Alicia Bearfield.
Bye, Felicia.
Come on down. No, you won the first bag. Everybody else, we have another chance to win. Just throw us a comment even after the live stream. We'll announce another winner at the end of the weekend. And for those of you who don't win that, we also have an FB Live coupon code that you can use on checkout for anything at vanguardworld.us. Thanks, Drew, for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
The show.
Thanks,
You've been
yeah.
amazing. Check him out at drewmasonvideo.com.
Yes, drewmasonvideo.com.
drewmasonvideo.com. You can see his whole reel. We're going to show you a little bit more of his reel now to end the show out. But yeah, and if you have any other questions, feel free to ask. We'll be on Facebook the rest of the day. Drew, hopefully, when he gets home, he can chime in later. So if anybody has any specific questions for him, we can let you know. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks.
We got pizza and a guitar! Pizza!
Yeah!
Here's a guitar for you!
Whoa! Sweet.